Hey everybody, welcome to week 12 of the college football season. It has been an interesting week, that's for sure. Obviously as a Cyclone fan, not where I want to be, but it is what it is. This will be a very exciting and interesting few weeks with the last 3 weeks of the season approaching, and especially to see how the college football playoff selection goes and how everything kind of falls into place, I suppose. Especially with it being unprecedented, first time being a 12-team playoff. I'm sure there'll be plenty of controversy, and hopefully next week I'll have a little bit better of an idea on maybe what things will look like. I feel like right now it's a little too far out still to really be theorizing and projecting anything, so next week I'm going to try to look into things a little bit more, but I still think it's 2 weeks away, right before that last weekend, that will really have anything substantial to go off of. But anyways, can get into this week's game. Around the Big 12, obviously a lot of interesting and emotional stuff happened, so I'll speak on that a little bit. But hop over here, we've got a Friday night game again. That's exciting. Not the best game, and it's a late night game, so you East Coast people are kind of screwed unless you want to stay up until 2 a.m. But 9:15 Central kick for the Houston and the Arizona. And it's pretty much a pick-em. I mean, I don't know too much about either of these teams. I know Houston isn't great and Arizona is all right. And it's something to watch on Friday. There's a Big Ten game on an hour before this on Friday, so if you want to watch that, you can. But really, there's just these two games on Friday. So if you're up late and want to watch football, this is it. I'm going to root for Houston just because we played them. Iowa State played them this season, and this is one that I don't really care what the outcome is. I just want to watch good football. So that's where we're at. Early morning game. Not really. 11 a.m., our early game for the Big 12. Utah, there's a lot to be said about Utah this week, and I ranted a little bit on live stream just before recording this about my thoughts on Utah, but I'll keep it tame. It would be nice if they beat Colorado because I dislike Colorado and I do not want them to be the Big 12 championship game winner this season, that's for sure. They could probably backdoor it pretty easily. They have the highest odds to win the conference right now, which sucks. And I'm not a huge Utah fan, but I dislike Colorado more than Utah. I don't know where Colorado gets their loss if they get one. I would like to see them lose, because if they lose and Iowa State wins out, which I'm not banking hope on, then Iowa State will still get in the championship game as of this week for the Big 12 championship. But best case scenario is BYU versus Kansas State in the championship game or something. I don't know how exactly all that unfolds, but it all boils down to anti-Colorado. I forgot what their schedule is looking like. It's looking pretty easy. I know they have Oklahoma State next, and then I don't know who, Tech maybe, but we'll see, I suppose. Utah, not a good football team though. They're really bad, and their athletic director is a clown, so that's all I'll say. I don't want to watch this game in the slightest. Unfortunately, it's the only game that is on at 11 a.m. in the Big 12, so I'll find a different game to watch. Or I'll just hate watch both teams and root for defense. 3 p.m., on a happier note, Baylor versus West Virginia. This will be a good game. Two pretty decent mid-of-the-pack Big 12 teams. I'm going to root for West Virginia, obviously, because we played them, and I like West Virginia a lot more than Baylor. We had a lot better of a game against West Virginia. But pretty much a pick-em. I mean, West Virginia at home, probably a 4 or 5 point spread on a neutral site, but I'm a West Virginia stan, so that was also our only afternoon game for the Big 12. All the 12 teams are playing this week. Besides, 13 is Oklahoma State and then Tech. So most of the teams are playing, but they're mostly night games, which kind of sucks. 6 p.m., Arizona State at Kansas State, 9 point spread. I mean, obviously I'm a homer, so I'm going to root for Kansas State. And I feel like if there's anybody that's going to stop Colorado besides BYU, Kansas State is that chance. So I'm rooting for Kansas State to win out. It depends on where Iowa State's at for the last game, where Kansas State and Iowa State play each other, obviously. If Iowa State wins their next 2 games, then I'm going to root for them to win out, and Kansas State win out until Iowa State. This college football playoffs thing is so complicated, but in this game I'm rooting for Kansas State. Iowa State. How can we fall so far so fast? We looked like a high school football team for part of that game last weekend. The defense just was giving up chunk plays, and the offense couldn't really do anything. All the coaches, the play calling was kind of bad. It wasn't really fluid. The coaches took responsibility. The players took responsibility. If there's anything Iowa State's good at, it's learning from failure. I just hope that learning is effective enough to be impactful in a week and not next season, which next season would be fine, but I don't want to go, like, worst case is we go 7-5, obviously. But even like a 9-3 season would be very disappointing given the start that we had. So, Cincinnati, this won't be the toughest game out of the last of the 3. Obviously, this was probably the easiest out of the 3, because then we have Utah and Kansas State. I'm hoping we just look good in this game. We've gotten our flow back together. But man, are we riddled with injuries. We're missing defensive players like it's our job. We're missing portions report pretty much. We now have, our last tight end got injured last weekend, so now we have no primary tight ends. So who knows, we might line up 5 wide for wide receivers at some point in the game. I don't know what they're going to do about it. So we're just an injury-riddled team, and it's shocking that we've done patchwork so long to get a 7-0 record. But, you know, at the end of the day, I'm still proud of this season, no matter what happens. I mean, we're making history. We just need one more win this season to tie the school record for wins in a season. And, I mean, shoot, who wouldn't be happy with that? Obviously, there's a lot of things that could make it happier, but I'm going to obviously root for ISU. Not huge on it being a night game, though. Last Big 12 game of the week, Kansas at BYU. Kansas has the opportunity to do the funniest thing 2 weeks in a row, but, you know, go BYU. I'm anti-Colorado. I want good representation in the college football playoff. BYU's shown that they can be a really good football team, so I'll root for BYU. Now, the non-conference games, Texas. I don't know how much there is to talk about here. I'm not very knowledgeable in the slightest on Arkansas, and it feels like most Texas games that I review on here are pretty one-sided. This one's close compared to the ones I've looked at with like 29-point spreads, but I don't really know how this will go. Maybe this will be my 11 a.m. game to watch instead of Utah. Definitely not, though, because I dislike Texas. I might just not watch football. I'll sleep until 2 p.m. Who knows? Texas is probably going to be fine, though. Michigan State versus Illinois. This seems like it'll be a good game. 1:30 kick. It looks like a close spread. I really don't know much about either of these teams. Illinois has been fun to watch on occasion when there's no other games on, so I enjoy watching them. Michigan State, I still don't really know much about, even though someone, I forgot who, asked me to put them on this video at the start of the season, and I still have barely learned anything about them, so I apologize. Another game where I'm not really going to root for a team. I'm just going to root for good football, and this has the potential to be good football. So, as an entertainment product, that's what I'm asking for. Notre Dame should be fine. 3 touchdown spread, over 3 touchdown spread. Be interesting to see how they do next week, which we'll talk about them when they go up against Army. Big college football playoff implications coming up for a lot of teams. So obviously Notre Dame I think will be fine. I don't know anything about Virginia. I know more about Virginia Tech than I do about Virginia. I don't know if that's good or bad. That's where we're at. I'm going to move. I out-ordered these. Speaking of playoff implications, the big game at 6:30, which I'm obviously not going to watch because I have better things to do with an Iowa State game, is Tennessee at Georgia. And this has big playoff implications because as, let's see, I'm going to pull it up. As Patrick said in the live stream chat, if Georgia wins, then there's a chance that there are 5 SEC teams that go 10-2 this season, assuming that all the teams win the games they're favored in. But that would be a crazy sight because who knows how the college football committee, the playoff committee, is going to handle that. Obviously, there's a lot of bias towards the SEC and the Big Ten. At the end of the day, it's a TV product. Can't be delusional about that. So who knows how this will go. I'm sure it'll be a good game. I could see Tennessee staying in it more than a 10-point spread would assume, but we'll see. I think it'll be entertaining nonetheless. Let me make sure I have that. Perfect. Now, the last 2 games that follow the 2+ time zone trend in the Big Ten. Strap in, because last week they went 2-1, so we're doing well this season. I can pull up, I'm going to flashbang myself. The ROI, if you're betting all these, is 19% on the spreads. This week it's a little scary. This is the last week, so hopefully round out the season well. But this week it's Nebraska at USC, and it would be taking the home -9, -8.5 if you can get it, potentially. These are the times as of 8:53 p.m. Central, but these are the lines at this time. So it would be USC -9, 8.5, and then the last game, this is a scary one, is Oregon at Wisconsin, and you would bet +14 for Wisconsin against Oregon, which is scary because Wisconsin is so streaky off and on. Who knows with them? It seemed like they were fine against Penn State for the first half, and then it all fell apart. Oregon isn't Penn State. Obviously, they're both 2 really good teams in Oregon and Penn State. Wisconsin's fine. I think it depends on just how they're feeling that day, maybe. I don't know. They're just such a streaky team, it seems. But either way, those are the last 2 time zone trends for the season. There's no more in the next 2 weeks, so it's fun while it lasted, right? So that's the week in review. I hope that you enjoyed. Let me know what games you're watching, how you think the potential for the college football playoffs selection will unravel. It's still a little ways away, but it'll be interesting nonetheless. So enjoy the football. Hope you do well, and I will see you next week. Peace out.